Hello, friends. I am coming to you with a very early morning post because I've got a big day ahead, and I wanted to make sure that this happened. I've had an interesting couple days working with some clients, students, amazing people doing amazing work, and it has some of my conversations in that context, and combined with some of my own reflection on my own work, where I am in my own work, is they've kind of evoked something which I think the way to describe it is, there's the challenge with a creative career, which is what I sort of have always had in some form, and what I really enjoy and am inspired to encourage other people to pursue for themselves, to find their
genius, their inspiration, and try and make their life out of that. A lot of times that means having multiple streams of income, or a sort of like job that holds things down while we also do other projects. But the way that my work has unfolded, I have always been just spectacularly grateful for the kind of projects I've managed that have literally fallen into my lap, and I know that there's a synchronicity in that. It's not simply random. I always feel like I am prepared for, there's like every amazing thing that falls out of the sky. When I step back and look over time at the kind of history of this, it looks like a very logical sequence, even though in the moment it appears to be totally random and chaotic, and God only knows what's coming next, right? We never quite know. But back to my what has been kind of coming through about this. One of the challenges can be, if we are transitioning to more of a creative career from more of a traditional kind of either employment or job, or something that is a little more reliable, predictable. One of the challenges can be that, as far as our ego, for lack of a better word, is concerned, our ego can feel incredibly vulnerable, and because not only are we, like, when we step into the kind of creative territory, not only are we digging into parts of ourselves that are genuinely vulnerable, we're revealing something deep about ourselves on whatever level, right? It may not be we're bearing our soul through every project or whatever it might, but or we may be, but there's some part of us that is being seen. We have to allow ourselves to be seen. And often, if we're transitioning into that mode of work, or we're taking it from something that's kind of been a side project and putting it right in the middle of our life and saying, this is what I want to do with my life, there's a sense of a mismatch between how competent, excellent, secure, acknowledged, or whatever I may feel in my regular thing, the thing I've been doing that has provided security for a long time, and this new thing that I'm developing. And I've observed this, when I look at my own life, I see it in the form of the cracking open into new territory, it's almost like we want to get really used to being not used to, but really comfortable being uncomfortable, comfortable being comfortable not knowing. I'm having trouble coming up with the right words. Comfortable with the kind of nascentness of our creativity, of our creative impulse. And funny enough, that ends up being one of the kind of hallmark principles of an ongoing creative life. Can we, at the outset, when we're first transitioning into this kind of work, it can feel like it's a step back. It can feel like it's, well, I'm really secure and confident over here, and I'm really insecure and vulnerable over here. I must be better at this, right? That's the kind of, the rational mind is going to want to draw that conclusion. But if we do this for long enough, we start to realize, oh, no, much of the time when I'm confident and have that feeling of security, the reason why I feel that is because I'm running a pattern. I'm running something that is established. I'm running something that's in some ways habitual. I've gotten good at it. And that place of like soft, vulnerable, not knowing what I'm doing is the gold mine. It's the place where all the richness, all the real all the real stuff comes through. It's where the gold is. And that doesn't mean that we don't get confident at this too, or highly competent, or really start to feel like I've got this. It just means that part of being really confident, part of being really feeling really secure as an artist is a consistent willingness and a kind of familiarity, like that place of vulnerability, that place of I feel like I don't know anything. Like this, and this can happen as a writer, as a creative kind of, coming up with a story or an idea. It happens to me on the piano, where I'll suddenly feel like I'm learning something about a passage. I'm learning to use my hand in a new way. I'm learning a new kind of musical landscape, and I feel like I've never played the instrument. I feel like, yeesh, I truly do not know what I'm doing here. I have to go back to the basic fundamentals and figure out how my touch, how my hands need to move, how my mind needs to move through this. And it's like going all the way back to the very beginning. And it's easy to resist that when we're not sure, or when we're not already kind of clear on the fact that that's where the gold is. It's easy to want to feel like the goal is to get to the confident place, because that's where that's what we think we're going for. That's what we think is going to give us the feeling of confidence, the feeling of security, the feeling of I got this. But really, it's kind of the opposite. Not that we don't want to become confident or competent, or be able to do this with ease, but that willingness to just keep going back to the place of I have no idea. Yeesh, that's kind of scary, almost unmoored feeling where we don't know whether we're going to be able to orient. We're letting go of our reference points, and we just kind of hope that that something is happening here. That is a space of potency and a space of power that is just simply, it's remarkable. It's remarkable. And so when I see students and clients and people I work with going there, there's almost nothing that gives me a bigger thrill, because it's like the daring, the courage, the kind of gladiator courage to step into the ring, not knowing if you're going to come out. Or, I don't know why I always use battle imagery, but, well, I think because it can be soul shaking. It can be really, really, it can impact us on the deepest level. And so, again, this is coming out of some work over the past few weeks in myself, and watching how my own piano practice has released into a new phase. And the primary feature of that is a willingness to show up every day and be so soft, and kind of to know that all the technique I've ever learned in my life needs to be at least questioned and potentially dissolved, deconstructed, and rebuilt. And it's also coming out of watching some of the people I'm working with just blow open their lives and move to new levels, and be willing to be, whoa, here we are, here we go. And so I think I always like to affirm the sort of the on-trackness of that kind of feeling, because that kind of feeling in and of itself may very well want to send us running for the hills. But if we know that that's the gold mine, if we know that's really where it's at, then in the midst of that, we can get comfortable, and little by little we can get very comfortable. We can get to where we seek that out. Can you imagine seeking out opportunities to feel deeply insecure? Can you imagine that we can get there? That is possible. That is a thing. Seeking out those moments, actually leaning into that. But it requires a certain amount of presence of mind and kind of knowing. And so I'm always trying to affirm, yes, that is what you want. That, yes, it feels like you might not, I don't know, survive. Everything could go wrong. Yes, you'll feel incredibly vulnerable, and right on. That is exactly the territory where the new discoveries are made. So yeah, that's what's showing up for me this morning. Whew. I think it's gonna be a good day. Have a wonderful day. Appreciate you. All the love in the world. I'll see you tomorrow.